Choice Home Care and Hospice present Choices to Benefit the Aging with your host, Joe Urrutia.
Welcome to Choices to Benefit the Aging. I'm Joe Urrutia, Community Senior Service Coordinator for Choice Hospice and Home Health. Today's guest, we have Jody Roberts. He's a chaplain for Choice Hospice and Home Health. Welcome to our program, Jody.
Glad to be here, Joe.
Jody, today we're going to be discussing hospice and the role of the chaplain, and I want to go a little bit into what is the hospice benefit and how is it paid for through Medicare. Can you explain that to me?
Sure. The hospice Medicare benefit is 100% coverage for that Medicare hospice patient. So that Medicare benefit for hospice is going to include the services that the hospice itself renders, nursing visits, aid attendant visits, social worker, chaplain, volunteer services. That's all included.
Is there a physician involved in this team of your supportive team?
Yes. Now that physician could be the patient's primary care physician that's involved, but hospice also has a physician that serves as the medical director that's leading that hospice team in each one of the disciplines in providing the services and the care to the patient.
Okay.
And in addition to the services that the hospice renders, that Medicare hospice benefits also going to include the medications related to the diagnoses as to why the patient is on hospice, and also durable medical equipment's covered. That could be from a hospital bed with a special airflow mattress to prevent ulcers or bed sores, bedside commode, walker, wheelchair,
How about
jerry
oxygen?
chairs, oxygen as well, most definitely.
How about diapers and chucks? Is that sometimes included in the benefit?
Yes, sir. All incontinence supplies are provided.
Okay. So basically, so when the hospice team goes in there, they evaluate the patient, and the patient meets criteria. How do who recommends hospice? Does this come through a physician? Do they need a physician's order for this?
Most definitely. That's where it all starts. Let's say, for example, we have a patient that's having heart troubles. They've been under the care of their primary physician, even though he may refer them to a cardiologist, but it continues to progress.
For example, like
becomes chronic.
Like congestive heart failure, correct?
Congestive heart failure.
So it has its beginnings, and then the patient's going into a more chronic phase of the disease.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, and if they're at a point in that disease process that it meets the criteria for hospice care, then the physician is going to talk with patient, family members, in exploring hospice or end-of-life care. And the doctor has to write an order for hospice, because we're not able to even send a nurse out to a patient's home to do an assessment or evaluation without that doctor's order. So it all starts with the doctor's order, and then once the hospice is involved, then they're taking patient and family members through the next steps to start the services.
One of the things I was going to ask you, since you are saying that the physician needs to write the order, if families want to know more about hospice, they can always call the hospice agency and request for information, somebody to give them just some educational information about the service, and that is allowable.
Oh,
under Medicare?
yeah, most definitely, Joe. Because it's all about the patient and the families, and they have patient rights. Hospice doesn't interfere with patients' rights, doesn't interfere with the decision-making authority or ability of a power of attorney or medical power of attorney. And so if a doctor recommends hospice to a patient and their family members, they can definitely call hospice agencies in their community. They can go online and get information. And they could even call hospice agency, and to where there'd be individuals such as ourselves that would go and visit with them
And go over the benefit?
and just providing information that they would need so that they can make an informed decision as to what they feel is best for them at that time. And just, we refer to it as like a hospice 101. Just going to provide you information and the education to make a decision that you feel's best for you.
Do you find, Jody, that sometimes there's families that are not, they're in denial and they're not ready for hospice, and once you sit down with them and go over the program with them, they start to have, they're again in denial, they're misinformed, that once you sit down with them and go over the benefit, that they have a better understanding and grasp of their benefit?
Yeah.
Do you find that?
Yeah, definitely find it. And it's actually interesting in a way, Joe. There have been times when I have went to a home to visit with a patient family, and where the patient is actually reconciled and at peace, with the decision with hospice care, but the family members are not. And then times where it's been the reverse of that. Patient's in denial and the family has been reconciled and they're at peace, with hospice care and that journey through that last stage of life. So, but yes, sir, it exists, and who of us really, wants to die? But death is much a part of life and of living as anything else is, and it is a reality for all of us, and we will all be at that point in time in our lives.
Do you think that families benefit out of this once they start getting the services and they're a little bit adamant about it at the beginning, that once, from your experience, get the service, that they're thankful for the supportive staff, for the support that they obtained during that time?
Oh,
Or
yeah.
they come in fearful of it, and then as time goes by, that they're very thankful of, that they were able to keep their loved one at home. Have you found that? Have you had any experiences like that?
Oh, most definitely. The role of hospice is twofold. One is where we're going to, work with the patient in terms of managing pain symptoms so that there's no undue suffering and pain. And the second role that hospice plays is getting our arms around that family and providing them emotional, spiritual support, encouragement, and just walking with them through that. And to where we encourage them, lean on us, let us help you, and to where we can take care of coordinating all of these things with the care, and so that you can be a son, and so that you can be a daughter, and that this can be a good and it can be a healthy time for all involved.
And they can go on this journey on their own, and they can choose to go on this journey with a supportive staff. And I think when they choose going on a journey with others helping them carry that cross and carry go on that journey, it just makes it a lot easier on them. I mean, do you think that is safe to say?
Oh, without a doubt, because you have the nurses, that are making their visits, registered nurses, licensed vocational nurses. That registered nurse is serving as a case manager.
Are they providing education on how to provide care for their loved one?
Yeah, most definitely. And that's one of the roles that case manager fills in tending to that patient, working with the family.
So they're already walking knowing, okay, you do not know how to take care, therefore we're going to teach you, and all questions that you have regarding the care of your loved one, we will guide you in that process.
Oh, most definitely. Then you also have the hospice aid attendants, that are involved, and there's a lot of contact there with patients and
what
families.
What does the aid provide? What type of services?
They're, providing assistance with bathing, grooming, lotions, things of that nature. Have social workers that are involved.
Can you tell me a little bit about, I'm going to go over each person that it's part of that team now. You're talking a social worker. What does a social worker provide also when they're coming in?
Social worker definitely provides a lot of, emotional support to both patient and family. And the social worker is also going to help with things that's called advanced directives. There's 3 important documents that make up those advanced directives. It's a living will that lets physicians know what the wishes of that patient are in the event they become incapacitated. Then also what's referred to as a medical power of attorney. For the most part, it's usually a son or a daughter that takes on that role with a parent and to help make those medical decisions. Like if it was a mother that has dementia but can no longer make those type of decisions, for herself. And then it's what we refer to as now a hospital DNR.
Which is do not resuscitate.
Do not resuscitate, that's correct. And the reason why that's important, it has to be in place, has to be wherever the patient is located. But if the patient had a change of condition or an episode and they had to call 911, then those EMS attendants are legally bound to attempt every heroic measure to keep that patient alive. Now, particularly with our elderly and weak and frail, they may attempt every heroic measure and indeed keep that patient alive, but actually they may be in worse shape afterwards.
Their quality of life is going to be impacted by that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Also, the social worker will help with funeral arrangements, correct? From
That's
what I
correct.
understand. So if they have any questions or assistance that they need on those type of services, I know that the social worker will help them coordinate those types. Is it correct?
Yeah, and they're going to provide them with a lot of information and education that's going to be in line with what their wishes would be, whether if that's, with a cremation, traditional services, or whatever it is that honors their faith background. The social worker is going to be a key resource in helping them to make those plans and those arrangements if they've not already done so.
Okay, so I'm just going to go over the people that are in your hospice team, which is, again, your medical director, which is a physician.
Correct.
And I understand he's on call 24 hours, 7 days a week.
Yes.
So if there's any changes in their loved one's condition or questions, the physician will be responding as a RN case manager calls him, correct? And
That's
you have an RN, and she's there to teach them on the care of their loved one and
Exactly.
any questions that they have, and they're providing all that education right there. The home health aide is to assist them with bathing, grooming, activities of daily living.
Yep.
And the next one was a social worker,
Mm-hmm.
and that he will help you with the funeral arrangements. Do not resuscitate, legal documents like, what was it, the advance directives, what is your living wills, correct?
Correct.
And then you come in because you are a chaplain. So
That's
I
correct.
want to talk a little bit about your role as a chaplain and how do they play into hospice, and what is it that you provide to the families?
Well, chaplains play a very important role, and we basically meet that patient and that family where they're at, and join them in their journey. And most of the time, I'm a companion and a listener, listening to their story and their journey of faith. But as a chaplain, honor a wide spectrum of faith traditions.
So you're
Now-
non-denominational, correct?
Correct. Now, with the Medicare hospice benefit, the chaplain services are optional for patient and family members. But let's say that we have a patient and they're open to hospice chaplain services. There are many times where I take on the role of pastor with that patient and that family. Particularly if they're not connected with a church.
Okay.
Now, if you have a patient that, let's just say, for example, that they've been Methodist all of their life, then I might serve as a liaison between patient, family, and with the ministerial staff of that Methodist church, in providing spiritual care and support to the patient and family during this very unique time of life for them. And there are times where I've had patients, this was just last week, I have a patient that's Jewish, so I've coordinated for a rabbi to visit with this patient and providing spiritual care and support in their faith tradition. And so fulfill that role a lot of times. So, but I'm just meeting them where they're at, but to provide that spiritual care and support in a way that's going to be of comfort and of peace to the patient and family.
Why did you get into hospice in the chaplaincy department? What geared you toward that direction in your life?
Yeah.
Because I know you've done ministry in the past.
Yeah, I had served as a senior pastor for about 11 years, and really think that I have a pastoral heart and in providing pastoral care. And I transitioned from the pastorate and had served as a chaplain for a full continuum of care community, meaning that they have independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing and rehab, and memory care. And it was a 200-unit campus. So I served as a chaplain to those residents, patients, and their family members. And from that, I was also involved with geriatric rehab, home health, and hospice, both from a marketing and ministerial side, public relations, promotions. And so, but in coming to choice, as a chaplain, I really feel that it's been more of God's call on my life in serving this way. because for me personally, I feel that I'm able to make a difference, a real difference in people's lives each and every day. And in contributing what I can contribute to that patient and the families, our team, our referral sources, our partners, and just in being a part and being that shepherd, that spiritual leader with all of these people in my life, and to where I do see that that I do have a shepherd or overseer's responsibility to them in delivering that spiritual care and support, and delivering the services in a way that that they know that there is a presence in their lives of a person that's an ambassador of the things of the kingdom of God, and there to serve them and to minister to them.
Have you had an experience yourself where you said, where you really felt, thank you, Lord, you put me in this path and I've served a purpose here, where the family was, or the patient was in denial, or, they really needed the supportive staff that you can share with us?
Yeah, it's been a lot of experiences like that. One that comes to my mind was a patient that we had that all of our staff just fell in love with him. He was really an extraordinary individual. But he was at a place where he was searching and looking, and making that spiritual connection. And it was just an honor to meet him where he was at and just to walk with him. And knowing that when it got to the time when he transitioned, if there's a way of stating it this way, but it was a good death experience for all that was involved and concerned, because he found his peace with God, made things right with some family members, and forgiveness, the peace, the comfort, and he had the opportunity before transitioning to express to me, I'm really glad that you were here for me, and took this walk with me. And I mean, it's just like...
And not too many patients, Jody, have that opportunity under hospice, and I think that you will agree with me, because some of the patients that we get them at the end.
Yeah.
You have a week, 2 weeks with the family and trying to work with the patients, which is not sufficient time.
Yeah.
And I wish we would get more patients and families inquiring more about hospice and getting them not at the end, but during that process.
Yeah.
So, like what you did with this patient, and you can be able to work with them a little bit better.
Yeah. If we have a patient that comes to us and it's like a week or 2 weeks, and really able to dialogue a lot with the patient, but be it scripture reading, prayer, music, and just having that ministry over that patient also brings a great comfort to the family members. But also with the family members during that time, it becomes a ministry of presence, and to love on them, encourage them, listen to them. I mean, really listen to their heart, the grief, the sorrow, and and preparing them for when their loved one is going to transition, of what's going to come at that point, but even what's going to come afterwards.
Okay. When should a family, a patient or a family member call on a chaplain while on hospice services with children?
Yeah. Well, I'm tempted to give you a blanket answer and just say whenever. But really, that's true. It could be that they have doubts, they're afraid, they're facing a moral or ethical dilemma about end-of-life issues and want to have someone to discuss that with. Of course, the spiritual dynamics involved in death and dying issues as well. It could be for a number of reasons, but it could also be the thing of working with that chaplain and saying, hey, I got some good news. I got something I want to share with you. And I've come to this place, in my thinking or in my heart or in my relationship with God or in my spiritual life. Okay. And those are calls that I always love receiving as well, because then it lets me know that, yeah, I have connected with this patient and this family. My ministry means something to them. It's making a difference. And they're saying, hey, Jody, I just want to share this with you.
Jody, I was going to ask you another question. Is it okay for them families to call Choice Hospice if they have any questions about the program?
Oh, most definitely.
And do you encourage them?
Absolutely. And we'll be happy to take their questions by phone and to answer those.
And that number to Choice Hospice is 544-0044. And they can always call Choice Hospice for questions about their Medicare hospice benefit. And if they need to meet with them, they will also go to their homes and go over the program.
Yep.
And
because I was going to say, in addition to that, we'd be more than happy to schedule an appointment at their convenience and to meet them in their home, or if the patient's at a hospital or assisted living, wherever they need for us to meet them.
Because hospice is not, you guys provide a home hospice in the home, nursing homes, and assisted living facilities, correct?
We go wherever the patient's at.
Jody, I want to thank you for being on our program today and for sharing this information with us. God
Okay,
bless you,
Joe.
Jody.
Hey, thank you.
God
Appreciate
bless you.
being here.
I want to thank you for watching us today on Choices to Benefit the Aging. I'm Joe Urrutia, your Community Senior Service Coordinator. If you have any questions about your hospice benefit or home health services, please call me at 588-8382. Please look at your Southwest Senior magazine for weekly itineraries about our program, and look forward to seeing you next week. God bless you, and thank you for watching. Good day.
Choices to Benefit the Aging has been brought to you by Choice Home Care and Hospice. For more information on this program, go to El Paso Southwest Senior Magazine at www.southwestsenior.com. Furniture provided by Copenhagen. 65